My brothers and sisters, listen. For everything under the sun moves by divine appointment. There is no date that is not written in the scroll of eternity. There is no day that does not speak. And so we come to this question. What will happen to the chosen on August 26, 2025? First, understand this. The chosen are not chosen by accident. They are chosen for such a time as this. For in the days ahead, the world will shake. Powers will rise. Foundations will crumble. What was certain will become uncertain, and what was strong will tremble. But the chosen, those who walk in covenant, are not bound to the shaking of this age. Look at the pattern. In the ancient days, when judgment came upon Egypt, the land of Goshen was under the same sky, but it was not under the same plague. The chosen were in the world, but not of it. The same sun that burned upon Egypt shone upon Goshen. Yet light remained in the dwellings of the covenant people. So it will be in the days ahead. August 26, 2025, it is not about the date on the calendar. It is about the appointment in the Spirit. The number 8 is new beginnings, and 26 is the name of the eternal in the ancient tongue, the name that was and is to come. And 2025, it is the year of division and unveiling. Combine them, and you have a mystery, a season of separation, of consecration, of those who are sealed standing apart from those who are not. So what will happen? For the world a sign, for the chosen a calling. On that day, the winds of change will blow stronger. What has been hidden will begin to be revealed. The foundations of nations will quake, but those who dwell in the shadow of the Most High will find shelter. While the world pursues fear, the chosen will walk in faith. While the kingdoms of men falter, the kingdom of heaven will not be moved. But hear this warning: do not wait for the day to prepare for the day. Those who are chosen must walk as chosen now, live as if the King is returning tomorrow, because one day he will. Be in prayer, be in holiness, be in covenant. For the ones who abide under his wings will not be shaken when the shaking comes. August 26, 2025 is not the end. It is a marker, a trumpet sounding in the Spirit, calling you higher, deeper, closer to the one who holds the times in his hands. So I leave you with this. The question is not what will happen on that day. The question is, where will you stand when it comes? Will you be found among the chosen or among the shaken? Everything that exists moves in order, not by chaos, but by the decree of the eternal. From the rising of the sun to its setting, every heartbeat, every breath, every moment is appointed. This is the mystery of divine appointment. Nothing is random. Every day under heaven was written before it came to be. The calendar of man is a shadow of a greater calendar. The calendar of the kingdom, the timeline of eternity. This is why certain days throughout history bear an unusual weight. Days when heaven intersects with earth. Days when the invisible breaks into the visible. These are not mere dates, they are appointments. Consider the ancient scrolls. In the book of Daniel, it says that God changes times and seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings. It means that even the rise and fall of empires is not by human will alone, but by divine orchestration. If God orders the steps of a man, how much more the steps of nations? If he numbers the hairs on your head, how much more the days on the earth? This is the realm of divine appointment. When we speak of August 26, 2025, we are not speaking of an arbitrary day chosen from the pages of a calendar. We speak of a moment that is not outside the knowledge of God. For he who formed the stars also formed the seasons, and the one who appointed the beginning has also appointed the end. And between the beginning and the end, he has placed markers, days of calling, days of testing, days of unveiling. These are days that call us to attention because they hold meaning beyond themselves. Many live as if time belongs to them as if the hours and minutes are theirs to spend without consequence. But time does not belong to man. It belongs to the one who created it. He dwells outside of time, yet he enters it for his purposes. That is why the prophets spoke of appointed times, why the scriptures speak of motim, the set times of the Lord. These are the windows in which heaven opens, and God speaks louder, not because he is silent before, but because the appointed time demands a response. So understand this: if there is an appointed time, there is also an appointed purpose. And if there is an appointed purpose, then those who are chosen must be awake, for nothing in the kingdom is without meaning. Every sign points to something greater. Every pattern unveils a mystery. If the Eternal One marks a day, it is to speak a word, to summon his people, to warn, to prepare, to call them higher. The reality is this: divine appointments often come suddenly to those who are unprepared. But to those who walk in the Spirit, they do not come as a thief in the night. They discern the seasons. They sense the shifting of the winds. They recognize that the days are not ordinary, that history is converging toward its consummation. They understand that every appointed day is a rehearsal for the ultimate day, the day of the Lord. So, when you ask what will happen on August 26, 2025, remember this: it is not about predicting events. It is about discerning meaning. The question is not whether something will happen. The question is whether you are aligned with the one who holds the appointment in his hands. Because if you are, then no matter what comes, you will stand. For those who walk in his timing are never late, never early, but always in the center of his will. The world has always known shaking. Kingdoms have risen and fallen. Empires have come and gone. And civilizations that once stood as immovable have turned to dust. But there is a deeper shaking coming, a shaking that will touch every foundation that man has built apart from God. When that shaking comes, those who trust in their wealth will see it vanish like smoke. Those who trust in their power will see it crumble like clay. Those who lean on their own strength will fall with the structures they built. But the chosen, those who walk in covenant, will not be shaken, for their foundation is not in the kingdoms of this world, but in the kingdom that cannot be moved. Look back to the ancient days when judgment came upon Egypt. 10 plagues swept through the land, striking terror into every heart. Darkness covered the earth, rivers turned to blood, death visited the firstborn of every house. Yet in the midst of the chaos, there was a place of peace. That place was Goshen. The land of Goshen was under the same sky, subject to the same earthly kingdom. Yet it was under a different covering. While Egypt was struck by plague after plague, light remained in the dwellings of God's people. Death passed over their homes. Why? Because they were under covenant. They were marked by the blood of the Lamb. The same pattern will manifest again. When the world begins to tremble, when systems collapse and fear spreads like fire, the chosen will remain in the shadow of the Almighty. For those who dwell in his secret place will abide under his wings. They are not exempt from the shaking of the earth, but they are exempt from its destruction. The storm may rage, but it cannot consume them, because they are anchored to the rock that cannot move. But this protection is not automatic. It is not for those who claim his name with their lips, but deny him with their lives. It is not for those who walk in compromise, who live as the world lives, and yet expect the blessings of heaven. No, the promise of Goshen is for those who live as God's people, those who are set apart, who walk in obedience, who cling to his word when everything else is collapsing. Understand this: the shaking will not only bring destruction, it will bring distinction. It will separate the true from the false, the faithful from the faithless. When the world is shaken, The difference will be clear. Those who belong to him will shine like lights in the darkness, because while fear grips the nations, they will stand in faith. While others run to and fro seeking safety in the systems of men, the chosen will find refuge in the presence of God. Their peace will be a testimony. Their hope will be a witness. Their lives will declare that there is a kingdom that cannot be shaken and a king who reigns forever. But do not be deceived, the shaking is not coming to destroy you if you belong to him. It is coming to strengthen you. It is coming to break your dependence on things that cannot last, so that you will cling to what is eternal. For when everything else is stripped away, only what is unshakable will remain. And those who are rooted in him will stand firm when the storm passes, like trees whose roots go deep into the living water. So when that day comes and the world trembles, do not fear, do not be moved. Remember Goshen, remember the covenant. Remember that your safety is not in the absence of the storm, but in the presence of the one who commands it. The chosen will not only survive, they will overcome. Numbers in Scripture are never random. They carry weight. They speak. They reveal patterns of eternity. If you look deeper into August 26, 2025, you will see a mystery. The date itself is not an accident. It carries a prophetic significance written into its very structure. The number 8 is the number of new beginnings. It comes after 7, the number of completion, the Sabbath of time. After the cycle ends, 8 begins something new. It is the sound of resurrection, the dawning of a new season. When the flood waters ceased, it was the 8th person, Noah, who stepped onto a renewed earth. When Messiah rose from the dead, it was on the first day of the week, the 8th day from the last Sabbath. 8 speaks of what comes after endings, restoration, renewal, and the birthing of something never seen before. Now consider 26. In the ancient tongue, the sacred name of the eternal, the tetragrammaton, carries the numerical value of 26. That name is the name that was, the name that is, and the name that shall be. It is the name of existence itself, the I am. To encounter 26 is to encounter the presence of God written in number form, the invisible signature of the eternal. It is a whisper in the calendar that says, I am here. Now join these two. 8 and 26, new beginnings and the name. The mystery declares that any new beginning worth having must be rooted in him, in his name, in his presence. Without him, there is no true renewal, no lasting restoration. It is not about changing seasons in the natural. It is about shifting into alignment with the one who controls the seasons. And then we look at the year 2025. Break it down. 20 is the number of redemption and completion in the Scriptures. 5 is the number of grace. So we see redemption and grace intertwined in this moment. But notice also the pattern of the time we live in. The mid-2020s are a threshold. The first half of the decade was marked by global shaking fear and the exposure of weakness in the systems of men. What follows is a further unveiling, a separating, a dividing, a revealing of who truly belongs to the kingdom and who does not. 2025 becomes a marker in this progression, a year where the gap widens between darkness and light, between truth and deception. So what does this mean for the chosen? It means that the day is not just a day, it is a prophetic trumpet sounding a call. Prepare for the new. Anchor yourself in the name. Stand in grace and redemption as the world enters a new phase. It is a time when the kingdom will advance even as the world shakes. It is a time when those who know their God will rise and do exploits, even as fear consumes the nations. But understand this: new beginnings do not come without endings. Resurrection does not come without a cross. Renewal does not come without surrender. So the chosen must be ready to let go of what is passing, what cannot remain, and take hold of what is eternal. The Lord is saying, do not cling to what is crumbling. Do not build your hope on what will not last. For I am doing a new thing. August 26, 2025 is not a date to fear, nor a date to idolize. It is a signpost. It speaks of a shift, a turning, a divine appointment for those who have ears to hear. The question is not whether the day will come. It will. The question is whether you will step into the new beginning under the name standing in grace as the old things pass away. For behold, the trumpet is sounding, and the appointed time draws near. The world is entering a time when uncertainty will become the norm. Nations that once boasted of strength will stagger like drunken men. Systems built on human pride will collapse as if made of sand. Economies will rise and fall like waves, and the hearts of men will fail them for fear of what is coming upon the earth. For the shaking is not only physical, it is moral, spiritual, and cultural. What was once considered unshakable truth is now despised, and what was once unthinkable is now celebrated. The foundations of civilization are being dismantled piece by piece, and the voices of confusion grow louder with every passing day. But in the midst of this upheaval, there will be a people who do not fear. There will be those who walk with a confidence that cannot be explained by the world, for their confidence does not come from the systems of man. It comes from the unshakable kingdom. These are the chosen, those who have placed their trust not in governments, not in wealth, not in the works of their own hands, but in the eternal. They understand that while the kingdoms of men rise and fall, the kingdom of God stands forever. They know that while the earth quakes, the throne of heaven remains unmoved. This does not mean that the chosen will be untouched by the storms. No, the rain will fall on the just and the unjust. The winds will blow against every house, but the difference will be the foundation. For the house built upon the sand will fall with a great crash, but the house built upon the rock will stand when the tempest comes. That rock is not an idea, not a philosophy, not a movement. It is a person. It is the one who is the same yesterday, today, and forever. It is the Messiah, the Word made flesh, the Lamb and the Lion. Those who build their lives on Him will not be moved, though the mountains fall into the heart of the sea. And so it shall be on the appointed days ahead. The world will run after fear, but the chosen will walk in faith. While others look to governments for salvation, the chosen will look to the hills from whence comes their help. While the nations cry out in panic, the chosen will lift their voices in praise. And this will be their testimony that there is a hope that does not fail, a peace that does not break, a joy that no storm can extinguish. This will be the hour when the light shines brightest against the darkness. But this does not happen by accident. Faith is not born in the moment of crisis. It is forged in the secret place before the shaking begins. Those who wait until the storm to build their foundation will not stand. That is why the Spirit is calling now, be rooted, be anchored, be steadfast. Draw near to Him while there is time, for the days are evil and the hour is late. The chosen must be a people of prayer, a people of holiness, a people of the Word. For only those who dwell in the shelter of the Most High will abide under the shadow of the Almighty when the chaos comes. And hear this, the greater the shaking, the greater the opportunity for the chosen to rise. While others falter, you will stand. While others curse the darkness, you will carry the light. While the world cries out for answers, you will bear witness to the answer. So do not fear what is coming. Do not tremble at the news of wars, pestilence, and famine. For these things must be, but they are not the end. The kingdom is advancing, and those who belong to it cannot be defeated. For though the earth shakes, the throne remains unshaken, and those who cling to it will endure to the end. Preparation is the dividing line between those who endure and those who fall when the storm comes. It is the difference between the wise and the foolish virgins, between those who have oil in their lamps and those whose lamps flicker out in the darkness. Too many wait for the hour of shaking before they begin to seek God. But by then it is too late. You cannot build an ark when the floodwaters have already risen. You cannot sow a seed when the harvest has begun. The time to prepare is not the day of calamity, it is now. Why is preparation so critical? Because the shaking will not announce itself with warnings written across the sky. It will come suddenly like a thief in the night, catching the unprepared in their complacency. It will expose what is real and what is counterfeit. When the systems of this world fail, when security evaporates, and when the idols of men fall, those who place their trust in them will be left empty and afraid. But those who built their lives on the unshakable foundation will stand firm, unafraid, unbroken. What does it mean to prepare? It means consecration. It means separating yourself from the spirit of this age and aligning your life with the purposes of God. It means turning from compromise, forsaking sin, and walking in holiness. Preparation is not hoarding food or stockpiling wealth. It is filling your vessel with oil, the oil of intimacy with God, the oil of His Spirit. The wise virgins did not wait until midnight to fill their lamps. They were ready before the cry came, "Behold, the bridegroom is coming." They were prepared because they valued the presence of the bridegroom above everything else. Preparation also means trust. You cannot prepare in fear, for fear produces panic, not wisdom. The chosen do not prepare because they are afraid of the future. They prepare because they believe the word of the Lord. They know that God is faithful, that His promises never fail, and that His covering is for those who dwell under His wings. To dwell under His wings means abiding, remaining in Him, walking in obedience every day, not occasionally, not when it is convenient, but as a lifestyle. The prepared heart is a surrendered heart. Do not think you can live like the world today and suddenly become holy tomorrow. Holiness is not an emergency plan. It is a daily walk. If you are lukewarm now, you will not become burning in the hour of testing. If you are prayerless now, you will not suddenly become a person of prayer when the shaking begins. If the word is not in you now, you will not have strength when everything else collapses. The time to seek the Lord is now, before the night falls, and no man can work. The Spirit is calling return to your first love. Make the secret place your dwelling place. Lay aside every weight and sin that entangles you. Do not let the cares of this world choke the word from your heart, for the days ahead will not allow for double-mindedness. You cannot stand with one foot in the kingdom and one in the world. The shaking will break that fence and force you to choose. And hear this, preparation is not just for survival, it is for assignment. The chosen are not being prepared merely to endure. They are being prepared to shine, to lead, to bear witness to the hope of the kingdom in a time of despair. The shaking will be the stage, and those who are prepared will be the voices crying out, "This is the way, walk in it." So make ready now. Fill your lamp. Strengthen your foundation. Anchor your soul in the unshakable, for the midnight cry is closer than you think. The question that must be asked is not merely what will happen on August 26th, 2025, but where will you stand when it comes? Many want to know the signs, the events, the mysteries of the day, but the true issue is not the shaking of the world. It is the standing of your soul. Because the day itself does not decide your destiny, your position does. Two people can live through the same shaking under the same sky in the same hour. One will fall, the other will rise. One will be overcome, the other will overcome. What separates them? It is not chance, it is choice. It is where they stand. Consider the words of the Messiah. He who hears these words of mine and does them is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain fell, the floods came, the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall. Why? Because its foundation was sure. But the one who heard the words and did not act was like a fool who built on sand. When the storm came, his house collapsed, and great was its fall. Notice this, the storm came to both. The difference was not the storm, it was the foundation. So it will be in the days ahead. The storm will come upon all, upon the nations, upon societies, upon every life. The shaking will not discriminate, but the result will depend on what you have built upon. If your life is anchored in the systems of men, when they fall, you will fall. If your identity is in wealth, when wealth vanishes, you will be left empty. If your security is in the praise of others, when the applause stops, you will collapse. But if your life is built on the rock, on Him who is unchanging, on His word that never fails, on His kingdom that cannot be moved, then no matter what happens around you, you will stand. The question is not whether the world will be shaken. It will. The question is whether you will be among the chosen who remain unshaken. And this is not something you decide on the day of shaking. It is something you decide now. Every choice you make today is shaping your foundation. Every compromise weakens it. Every act of obedience strengthens it. Every moment in His presence drives your roots deeper. Every distraction pulls you further from the rock. This is why the Spirit is calling with urgency. Choose this day whom you will serve. Not tomorrow, not later, today. For the time is short and the days are evil. You cannot wait for the storm to fix your foundation. You cannot live for the world and expect to stand when the world collapses. The double-minded will be swept away, but the steadfast will endure. Do you understand what this means? The shaking is not your enemy. It is your revealer. It will show what was hidden. It will expose the hearts of men. It will make clear what was only shadows before. And in that revealing, the chosen will shine, not because they are stronger, but because they are rooted in the one who is unshakable. While fear grips the nations, they will walk in peace. While others are paralyzed, they will move with purpose. While many lose hope, they will declare hope. So where will you stand when it comes? On sand or on the rock? In fear or in faith? Among the shaken or among the chosen? The time to decide is not then, it is now. For the trumpet is sounding. The days are accelerating, and the storm is on the horizon. Stand in Him, and you will not fall. For those who cling to the eternal will remain, even when all else is swept away.